Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you gotta get spotted. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. Sorry I'm a little bit late here. I just had a little bit of trouble starting things. So we did get U.S. retail sales month over month. We're looking for a reading of 1.4% on the headline number. We got that. They were looking for a reading of spot 4 on the core retail sales, and they got spot 5. So it's a pretty significant number, but we're not seeing a whole lot of movement on it yet. I am hearing stuff about, well, by the way, it does also look like we spiked up to 07. But I am getting stuff about China. China kind of talking here, saying that they're just kind of ignoring things, I guess. So we may be getting some movement because of that. But let's see. Come over to the charts real quick. So here's the Treasury. Pretty decent upside yesterday. So kind of, I think that the direction should be continue to tilt towards the upside for the near foreseeable future, unless somebody starts selling again. S&P 500 a little bit lower than yesterday. Oil about where it was. Gold taking a huge jump higher. Wow. Silver, that looks really good in silver. Copper. Okay. And Japanese yen. Still kind of trucking along at the higher end of that range there. And the dollar kissing 99. Bitcoin pulled back yesterday, but nothing too bad. They're in the 84,000 range. Okay, so first thing is we got this issue again where for some reason it did not do the historical data correctly. Let us reload all historical data and see if that changes anything. Good morning, A. Paul, Rob, Robert, Bray, and Octavius. Thank you guys for being here every day. Better. Okay. Now, for some reason over here, hola, Uzi. So now on this one, it should not be taking any trades before 6:30. So why is it showing me? And it is definitely not in a position either. So why is it showing me that? Oh no, it says that it is in fact in a short. What happened here? Parameters. Start time 6:20. Oh, okay. Maybe I should make it wait for 6:30, but that's okay. This brings us back to the whole thing of like, don't trade if there's news, right? Well. So we can mess with that. I also, so today I have an eye appointment around lunch. So that will allow me to come back home, check things. And so I think I'm going to try output timer. So basically, like when I leave at 8 o'clock, I'll set the output timer here. Say stop streaming after 1 hour 30 minutes. Then I'll click start. And the stream should keep going without me. Now, I think that I will have to actually like end the broadcast still. So I don't know how that works. But I'm thinking if we get that all going good, then maybe what we could do is leave it going all the way until the NYSE close and show stock order flow data. The only problem with that is that I'll have to like select the issues and we wouldn't be able to change it. Right? You would just, we would select which stocks we want to watch and then I walk away and those are the ones that we're watching. Unless we somehow convince, my wife to come in and change it for you midday. Have to develop the Seth humanoid in your absence. I mean, there's maybe a scenario where I might be able to work out some sort of remote desktop sort of a thing. I don't know. Yeah, yesterday there was like a spike right after I stopped streaming, and I was never able to figure out what that was about. So those are the sorts of things. 8 is, I mean, it used to always be 8:30, right? 8 is 9 o'clock is perfect, but is what it is. I am quite enjoying the new job they have. Quite a few problems right down my alley to solve. So let us get back into. Have you ever heard of Jet KVM? No. What's that? Control any computer remotely. Okay. Well, why would you use that? We are in talks with Amazon to sell the Jet KVM. Wait, let's go to the facts. Oh, it is a device. It's not just stuff that you install on your computer. It's like an actual device. Website. It looks cool. Next generation open source KVM over IP for $69. Okay, but if I'm on Windows and I have remote desktop connection, why would I use that? Why would I use Jet KVM versus remote? Then let's see. Maybe somebody has answered this. Jet KVM versus remote desktop connection. Jet KVM is a hardware-based solution that provides full remote control, including BIOS access and power control, even if the target computer is unresponsive or powered off. And that does sound to me like the key difference. So I think for us, we would do remote desktop connection. But I think we mess with that a different day. Today, I want to finish fixing this. And the issue that I have here is, okay, so you can see here, it says bad dates. And what is the bad date? It says that this happens on the 171st day of March, which does not exist. So somebody just fat fingered an extra 1 in there. So that makes sense. And I remember seeing that in there before. But why is that not showing up in this right here? It is correctly showing that the consumer survey is at 10 o'clock. Oh, yeah, doing the output. So that does not make sense to me. I should be seeing it in this bit right here. But if I go to the news.py, and where does it get it? It gets title, date. Is it giving me the date from the previous one? Oops. Yeah, it does look like that's what it's doing. Oh, I didn't see here. Brad says, because if your box is down, you can bounce it. Yeah. Oh, actually, do I need to... There we go.
Order submitted.
Oh, it's gonna go long here. Okay. If you want one, let me know. I'll send it to you. Oh. Okay, so for this one, it should be like that. You don't need the T there. How's that? I think this one is just supposed to be 08. Okay, that one's messed up, but that's just supposed to be. Was the Fed rate decision really the 31st? That can't be right. Yeah, that's not right at all. It was the 29th. And here it should be 1430. Like that. Okay, this one, that's fine. And how should I pull this up? Work. Python. Nope. Okay. I'm just going to pull up a new chart. Nothing. There's an unknown word starting at index 0. Oops. Scooty that. Video Starcade, welcome back. Oh. Wait, what? Really? Oh, that's terrible. It's time and then the event, not backwards. So now I have to redo all that. Better. I wish there was a way for me to better automatically fix them, but is this OpenBB? What is Open? No, I don't know what that is.
Order cancelled.
This one is really messed up. So again, it was... That meeting was on the 29th, not the 30th. There could be other inaccuracies where, like, the data is fine. But there'd be no way for me to detect it. Okay, we're getting more news about tariffs. Basically, the U.S. administration is saying to dismiss what China just said. Okay. Let's try that again. Da-da-da-da. Oh, that's the one that we got at 8 o'clock. Business inventories. Oh, we got industrial production and capacity utilization coming up. Not sure how deep you go with coding, but you could probably whip up a regex script to format it and cut off the noise at the end. Well, so okay, so I'm telling it. Oh, by the way, I should change that. Let me just fix that really quick. Okay. So I'm telling it to output error information so that I know where to look in the file. So that's the first thing. Right? Okay. So that first one, it doesn't have an ID with it. No big deal. This one, though, you can see the issue with this one is that they have it says 171. So that day doesn't exist. So I think in this instance, you could say, if there is a trailing 1 or whatever, delete that, right? Next one, the problem is that it's just 8 instead of 08. So it can't parse that. This one, the whole thing is garbled up. It should be 1430. So it's missing the hour. It's totally missing the entire hour. And the T. Right? So I could make a regex that's when an error is detected, looks for one of those 3 things. But I kind of feel like at that point doing the 3 things, like the amount of work that I would put in doing that is probably less than just me going back through by hand and fixing it. But we got the thing. We have the data file updated now. We have the data file updated now. So when we do this again in a year, it should be a lot easier for us, right? I might be able to change it so that it only grabs the next year of data and not the whole thing, so that I don't have to go back and fix the data that I've already fixed. That would be nice. But I feel like that's beyond what we are messing with right now. So what I am going to do in here, since we're updating it, the indicator suite, sound packs, data, here's the news thing. And we're just going to update this date to today. $25.04.16. Oh, does it now? When SCP now want to run without that? No, it's okay. Okay. Oh, I see. I see what happened. Oh, I have to copy it over to here too. Copy. Okay. So now those of you that are using that indicator, you can upload your news.csv file and you'll have the events from this year. Puts in a lot of time to prove meaningless data. No, this isn't to prove meaningless data. This is to improve my algorithm. I don't want my algorithm to trade when there's news. Okay, so I can close this window. Now the next thing that we need to do, it is already using the news indicator, but it's not drawing it on the chart. So and let's see here. It's in advanced base strategy. So what do we call it? SBS news warning underscore news. Copy. And let's see here. I always do the base state change first, so that's good. And chart indicator. Hopefully that works. I'm not going to restart the algorithm today. We'll see tomorrow.
Order canceled.
Wait, was it short? Oh, it was short. Oh, it's running into the same issue that I had yesterday. I didn't realize. Here it went long. It came against it. Came short. Yeah. By the way, yesterday, the algorithm, because it was doing this same sort of a thing, when you get into like the more range-bound market, it's terrible. And it was terrible. And then after we left, it took 2 trades and basically I think it was still down 2 ticks by the end of the day, but it was great. So I add the chart indicator. Now, I have a theory about how to deal with that. Oh, actually, I don't know. I have a few ideas, but maybe what I'm gonna do is this one. I'm gonna call this one trend, or long imbalance, and so I'm going to do that. And this period will be, I added a higher time frame period on here, right? No, maybe not. I maybe tried it on a different indicator and didn't. Ninja script property public int period long get set period long equals 30 period long compile that. Cool. So now when we run it tomorrow, I will get the market order imbalance over a 10-minute period and a 30-minute period. And we can see if using those two together, we can filter better so that it doesn't take trades against the trend and or get caught in these, back and forth ones. I kind of think, though, that to avoid the chop, that I need to have a filter that's probably based more on the absolute change in cumulative delta or the state of the book or something like that. Now there's some other changes that I want to make, because I want it to, instead of just entering long, I want it to, use the book to determine if it should use a market order or a limit order. But I don't want to make too many changes all at once. So we'll change that tomorrow, okay? Video Starcade says all data has some meaning to it in the journey of things. Well, so the thing is that most data is random, right? So you might spend a lot of time on a theory and then in the end turn out to find that there was nothing there, right? And that's what's going to happen most of the time. I mean, like if you're just picking a random theory and then going and testing it, most of the time you're going to find that there's not actually anything there, that the null hypothesis is correct. But if you already understand the behaviors of the market and with what kind of things we can already prove, then your theories are kind of going to be more along those lines, and you're much more likely to find something that is statistically significant. And so if you go through and you do a bunch of investigation and you find something that is statistically significant, that's always something that you can potentially utilize in a strategy. It might not be enough to give you like an over edge on its own, But when you it's kind of like adding all of those teeny tiny little things together that really, really makes it powerful. I think Amanesh, he kind of says things like that just to try and belittle me, but we all know that he's just spewing bullshit, right? After Seth's videos, I can't look at other traders' video. They look like a complete joke. Really, I mean, I really feel like that the rest of the retail trading industry is a joke. I know, I'm trying to go on this thing, like, I think one of the problems that we can have, in terms of, like, the marketing and presentation of the channel and things like that, is, you know, I'm coming out and I'm just overwhelming people with information. And yeah, it's like, oh, that's super smart. People should think Seth is super smart from all of the content that he's putting out, right? But I've found that is not the way that people think. I mean, maybe it's a little bit different when it's a YouTube channel and everything, but like here on the stream, I might give you too much information, and a lot of people, or should I say, like, a typical person kind of interprets that as insecurity. Like that if they're secure, they wouldn't say a whole lot. So I'm kind of sitting here thinking about, like, well, what is actually the best way to deal with these sorts of things? But, you know, I do want to provide value for you. So, but this thing of, like, the argument that he's making, like, why is he bringing this out right now? Puts in a lot of time to prove meaningless data. That's not what we're doing. We are making a important change that helps the strategy out significantly. Whatever flows that you're seeing already out there are not really very likely to continue through into the news. It's better to just avoid the volatility of the news unless you have something that you really think is going to predict the news. So this will help the strategy significantly. Okay, so we just got capacity utilization, mostly in line with expectations. Not seeing too much movement from that. By the way, when did the White House post this whole? Might have been in the middle of the night. So I think because the White House said that the Chinese tariffs are 245% now. By the way, a subject I'm super interested now. Zero Hedge had a story about this, and it was kind of, you know, I was like, oh, why did I not see that before? But basically, they were saying, if you look in China, China is doing, like, absolutely everything they possibly can to, like, support their stock market and support their trade policy. So, like, they have banned selling. like you just straight up, you can't sell right now. in China. And that's why the Chinese stock market hasn't been hit all that bad. Meanwhile, in the United States, the Federal Reserve is not really doing anything to help the United States negotiating position. Now, maybe it shouldn't necessarily, but, and Zero Hedge pointed this out, and I was like, oh yeah, I wish I had thought of that, was that Bill Dudley, who was a former Federal Reserve meeting, after he, a former Federal Reserve member, FOMC board member, he advocated in like a public news article or whatever that the Federal Reserve should not help Donald Trump if trade war comes back, essentially. He was like openly advocating for the Federal Reserve to act politically. But I mean, he maybe doesn't necessarily see it that way. I think that he was just saying like, this does not help price stability, et cetera, and so it's better for the Federal Reserve to stay out of it. Right? Okay. So that's not necessarily very good for us. Like, we would like to see interest rates come down. We would like to see trade become more balanced. Federal Reserve's not going to help us. But then Treasury Secretary Bessent has said that they could increase buybacks. So they do a buyback operation where they buy bonds back. And that has a boosting effect. So they could increase the amount of buybacks and support the Treasury market that way. That's interesting. How is that going to go? I think that longer term that the Federal Reserve will be forced to cut rates at some point. Like at some point, the deflationary impact will be so apparent and they just won't be able to stay put anymore. If this really goes on long enough. And I kind of think that it will. I'm kind of thinking, I think that the null hypothesis, the default situation that we're going to see here is there's a bunch of back and forth here between the Chinese and the United States, and neither side is willing to budge, and we just keep really, really high tariffs on China while the United States works out deals with all of the other nations and gets those all down to the 10% tariff. And hopefully less than the 10% tariff. And hopefully the United States is kind of able to rally everybody else. I think that's like the big thing that the administration is missing here. And I'm not saying missing like that they're not looking for it or trying for it or anything, but like they're not getting it, which is that we need all of the nations to be saying, hey, China, you're not playing fair, and it needs to change. Because kind of what happens is China doesn't play fair, and so then the other nations are like, having problems with the trade with China, and the way they make up for it is with their trade with the United States, and so then everybody's screwing off the United States. Screwing up the United States, not off. Good grief. So if Trump is able to get all of those deals and kind of get the world united against China, which it kind of looks like it's going that direction, then you basically put the squeeze on China. And they're acting like, well, we're not going to change anything. We think that we're totally justified, etc., etc. I think it's bluster. I think that in the long run here, that China is going to feel the squeeze. Like, you can't see it now because they're propping their stock market up and doing all of these things to hide the impact from us. But at some point, they're not going to be able to hide it anymore. And all of this, it will go from everything's fine to 1 week like China is in dire straits. And maybe then they will be pushed to the negotiating table. Because the longer it goes on, probably the worse it gets for China. Man, I feel like I'm having a hard time talking here. I'm like not being super precise with my words like I like to be. Oh well. China #1 honest, says Uzi. Uzi is on the, if China is going to become world overlord, I want them to think I'm a friend. I kind of already screwed up because Hu Xixin one time tweeted something and I pointed out an obvious contradiction in that statement. And then the 50 Cent army came after me. And so now I'm on the naughty list, I guess. I don't think it matters what I do. What's crazy to me sometimes is I truly swear that China is doing much, much worse than the BS we are shown, pretty much. I think it's kind of mixed. So, one thing that we are shown that I think is real is that a lot of Chinese cities have become hyper modern and are super big and are doing really, really well. So there has been just insane amount of development in a lot of these Chinese cities. Now, the problem with that is not reflective of the entire country, right? Most people in China still live in poverty. And they're still kind of reeling from this real estate crisis, and they just kind of like put a band-aid on it, right? So yeah, there's definitely like problems going on in China kind of under the surface that you will never see discussed on social media. Yeah, their fake estate market. And the thing that's super, super crazy to me is that everybody on the internet goes on and on about Russian manipulation of online media. And it seems to me that China manipulates the internet 10 times the amount that Russia does. And China is actually good at it. And nobody bats an eye at it. It's just become, it's like so commonplace that we just think that that's the way that the internet is. I think that if we didn't have Chinese social media manipulation, I don't think that we would see nearly as much like social media content about socialism or communism or discontent about the United States in general. It seems to me that TikTok in particular really tries to push content that will make Americans unhappy about America. So the one that like really, really blew my mind was when all of these Chinese manufacturers came out and started saying, oh yeah, by the way, when you buy a Lululemon leggings for $100, it only costs us $6 to make, right? And then everybody on TikTok was upset, and there was all these creators talking about it, and we're like, oh, I'm so glad that we're seeing this, though, and all of these sorts of things, right? And nobody saw that as Chinese social media manipulation. Yeah, that is a media campaign by China to try and undermine the American tariff negotiating position, essentially. And nobody saw it as that. Is just so crazy to me. On the other hand, I'm surprised that so many people did not know that Lululemon is crazy overpriced. Like, there was a time, like 10 years ago, when like Lululemon was like the only place to really get high quality gym gear. And you know, who knows how much it took to make it back then. But since that time, it has definitely shifted. Like, the quality of it has gone down, and you can get the same thing for cheap many other different places. I'm just surprised that so many people didn't know this. Are you happy with America? Well, so most of the things that are like the discontent sort of stuff that we see online, I think are contrived. I'm concerned that we do not understand the consequences of complexity, and that we're going to make decisions that we don't understand that really harm us. I'm really concerned about that. Okay. But all of these things that are like, oh, there's this group of people out there that believe this, and we should be super upset about it, and blah, 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 blah. I'd like, no, it's all bullshit. So, whatever. Before the year end, we're going to see a China flag in bio-leftist rage. Oh, that would be crazy, man. But the thing is just with China. Well, one of the other things that's kind of happening right now is that in the 90s and the 2000s, when China was quote unquote ascendant, we read a lot of stuff about where China was going and all these things. And that's why you would see plenty of movies like, what's that movie with, Jumper. Yes, it's Jumper, and they're like, what is in store for the future? What should I do? And they're like, move to China, right? Like that was the thing way back then. But the thing is, like that situation changed. We found out that China doesn't have as many people as we thought it did, and the birth rate over there is really, really low. So the Chinese demographic destiny has completely changed out from underneath of them. And it's probably not. So like I see a lot of people talking about like, oh, well, like Ray Dalio. I hate that whole thing. Like, okay, he's there are some things that you can learn from him, but I think the stuff that he is like putting in his books and like he's really pushing around is, I think, kind of sketchy ideas. So like this idea that the U.S. empire is falling and the next empire will be China. I don't quite think it's going to work like that. If anything is going to become a new empire, it's going to be India. If they can get their shit together over there in India, India could become the next big power. Then it would be the United States, China, and India. Literally get their good grief, Uzi. No, I didn't mean it like that. Don't make it. You're gonna get me in trouble here. You're gonna get me in trouble. I tell you what, man. I think that India has so much potential. It has so much potential. They believe in freedom. There's a lot of things in their culture that I think could make them very, very successful. But they are experiencing a lot of political instability and issues. So that's kind of holding them back. But I think it's inevitable that they will work past those. And, as they continue to get bigger and they continue to modernize, eventually they're going to kind of cross the same line that China did, where all of a sudden it's just like... And then on top of that, you look at all of the STEM people that are coming over into getting educated in the United States. Well, not always being educated in the United States, but like they're importing a lot of brain power. They are. Yeah. Well, the issue is that the Indians that I interact with and work with are not going to be necessarily indicative of the overall Indian population. But I'm not saying that they are. I'm saying that section of India is large enough now that eventually it will kind of reach a breaking point, a tipping point where you get a similar thing to what happened in China. And they start to become massively successful as the country continues to modernize. It's going to happen. I think it's going to happen. Not without massive... Well, yeah. I mean, as it happens, there probably will be massive systemic and cultural change. Probably there will. I mean, there's already pretty massive systemic and cultural change around the whole caste system. There really is a lot changing there. No, you guys don't agree. I want to be long India somewhere. It's basically I have black friends of the average white man. Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, I'm making this conclusion more based off of the demographics and the way that the economics tend to go, right? So as you modernize and you pull more and more people out of poverty, eventually you get to a tipping point where those things change. Yeah, but it's changing. Zain Ali, guess where I am from? Pakistan? My guess. Because Ali is a Muslim name, so you're the most likely is, or like a most populous Muslim country where I'm likely to get people from is going to be Pakistan. That's just what YouTube tells me. I don't know why that is, but that's what. Actually, I double check that. That's just my recollection. Let's double check this. Zane Lowe's. I must be wrong. I must be wrong. Oh, but you are right. Oh, okay, I'm right. Okay. My video editor is in Pakistan. So, audience. Oh, come on, where is it? Top geographies. Here we are. United States, Canada, United Kingdom, Germany, India. Oh, well, Morocco. Probably those 12 views are probably all Salim. Oh, it doesn't show up on here. Oh. But India does. So. The Pakistan bros don't like India, but yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's kind of a, that's, I think, one of the wildest situations in global politics, because where else in the world can you see a situation where there are two groups that are like practically like it could start a nuclear war, and you will read stuff from them, from commenters on the internet, like usually when there's some country like North Korea that is like super super tense situation and everything, right? Like there's not people on the internet, right? But India and Pakistan are developed enough that you get a lot of people on the internet from those places. But I guess like the kind of like the way that I think about these things, like the reason I come to the conclusions that I do, is that more broadly, I think that most of the outcomes that we see and the beliefs that we see are a result of the systems that we have and not the other way around. So I think that the average person thinks, well, these people in this area believe this, and that causes them to act in this manner, and that's why they have these problems or they have these successes. And while culture is certainly an important factor, I would argue that larger picture, most of those things are like those ideas and attitudes and so forth are usually actually more a result of that area. Like the environment, right? Like if you look in the United States, and there is a clear divergence in culture between people in the South and their attitudes in the South and the rest of the country, right? And so some might argue, well, the reason that economics and every attitudes and all of those things in the South are the way that they are is because of their beliefs, right? And I would say, no, it's because they live in practically live in a rainforest. And if you look worldwide, areas that are really, really hot and humid tend to move towards those kinds of cultures. Look at your face cam, you look AI generated? No, I just have a really good camera. Man, I'm kind of sad with the robot here. It's held this trade all the way back. Was not able to get an exit on that.
Order canceled.
Oh, in fact, it is going short now. Ari, I don't know how to say your name. I hope you have a great day. Can you guide me how to start coding for NinjaTrader 8? So on this YouTube channel, I have 3 really good videos to get you started. One is how to debug in NinjaTrader. One is like the basics, is just pointing out the key functions and what they do. And then another one is about data. And if you watch those videos and then you read the documentation and or, ask ChatGPT about syntax when you get stuck, that should be enough to get you started programming in NinjaTrader. And then from there, it's just practice, just code a lot of stuff. Okay, so anyways, where was I going? So I think that a lot of the dynamics that are going on in India are a result of kind of the history of India and also the geography and climate and all of those sorts of things. But they are developing, and that then becomes a really strong force, right? So as they modernize, yeah, things like waste disposal, etc., they're going to change. and it might take India a while. I kind of think that if I'm like investing in India and I'm really expecting India to become like a world superpower, I'm thinking about something that might happen 50 to 70 years from now, right? Powell is set for 130. Oh, I didn't see that. Let me come in here. You're right. 11:30 my time, 1:30 Eastern time. Due to speak about the economic outlook at the Economic Club of Chicago. Yeah, that's going to be a pretty significant thing. Oh, no, I don't see the Bank of Canada thing on my calendar. Oh, but I do see it over here in Financial Juice. Well, so now that's one that I don't think would show up in my news list. Do I think that the robot should not trade it? I don't know. Let's see how it turns out. Overall, what I'm seeing is that as soon as an imbalance really starts to show up, it goes the other way, which is what I would expect to see in a market dominated by a market maker and not really going anywhere, right? A range-bound market, all the trades that the robot takes are bad. We have to filter for when there's going to be a trend and when there's not. I can do that discretionarily because I can look at what's going on in all of my predictors of order flow and everything to kind of see situations when we're likely to be range bound versus trend. There's the rate statement, by the way. But I can't do it with the algo. Let's see if we can find a more algorithmic way to filter for it. Uzi says there was a light pull for the news. That's true. And there is a little bit of movement, but it's like a tick up, a tick down, and not anything too significant. It's crazy to think we only get 5 minutes left. That's so sad. We just don't have enough time anymore, guys. It sucks, but that's just the way it has to be, I think. Maybe the time was just right. Like maybe if I had put more time into this algo and it developed it a little bit faster to this point. Yeah, have fun at work. I have been having fun at work. They're kind of funny because they're like, well, we know we're just starting out and you probably don't have a lot to do and we're just making sure that you're doing okay and yada. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I have plenty. I have plenty of things to look at right now, actually. So. Having a challenge to solve, that makes me happy. So I bet on Seth's prop firm. I don't know. Like the thing that's yeah, I did find a new job. It's a 3-month contract to hire. So there's still a lot up in the air and for the next 3 months. So basically what? April, May, June. So when July comes along and then kind of reassess what they offer me for the for direct hire and all that. But the thing about it is they are a company that I would not consider a tech company. They do hardware. They do hardware stuff. And they are basically, they have a really good opportunity to kind of become a tech company. Like they are moving into the cloud. They are they're providing more like cloud-like services to clients, essentially. And so they want to build up a software more of a software development organization and stuff like that. And part of that is creating a platform engineering team. So the thing that's exciting about it is being there at the beginning of that. And when all of these kinds of questions about how are we going to do things are being asked, and being there to like architect those things for them, because they haven't been through that. And I have. Because I was there when like all of the other companies were doing it back in 2010. So that's what makes it really cool. And I think that, I hope that also means good opportunity for advancement, but we'll see. Let's see here. I saw a video by Fat Cat showing how is order flow BS and doesn't match up. I checked it out this AM and found that time and cells does not match with the DOM at bitask, LTQ, or footprint. I run 20 milliseconds. I also noticed to print more your DOM, but it's close. Okay, so there are slight differences, yeah. So there's a couple of different things going on here. One thing is that the data that is reported back to you about orders that are being filled is orders orders being filled and not market orders. It's this limit order was filled and not there was a market order that took out this much. Okay. So that's the first thing. So when you're looking at consolidated tape, for instance, it has to reconstruct this. Reconstructed tape, it's reconstructing it. So that's a key thing. And then when you look into those sorts of things, now you kind of get into these other things like the market depth changes that you are seeing. You are not seeing literally every market depth change that is submitted to the exchange, unless you have MBO data. Okay? Unless you have MBO data, your data provider, CQG, Algorithmic, or whoever it is, does some amount of filtering. And the more active the market is, the more filtering they will do. Okay, so like in an active market, there might be one data provider will have two different updates that will be one update for you. That kind of happens, right? Then there's also this thing that like your market depth and the fills coming through are not necessarily perfectly in sync either. So whether an order is marked as a market buy or a market sell could be different between two different data platforms, and could be different between two different machines, even if you're using the same data platform. So there's absolutely errors in it. The numbers that you're getting are not 100% perfect accurate, right? That's why part of the thing that my indicators do is cache, so that you can backtest your algorithms based on the data that you are getting live to see how it would perform on that data, right? Now, again, if you use MBO, then those problems go away, because MBO is basically designed for you to be able to calculate all of those things and it be exact, right? But these kind of subtle little differences, they might make a difference for an algorithm, but for a discretionary trader sitting here and interpreting order flow, it does not make any difference. I find it really, really bizarre that a lot of people talk about Fat Cat in relation to order flow trading when he doesn't use order flow. He is essentially a price action trader that trades backfills. That is my sign to get going. So we're going to come in here. Output timer. Since we got 5 minutes here. Why does it want 30 seconds? That's weird. 0 seconds. Okay. So I will start that. Okay. And it's telling me it will stop in 95 minutes. Very good. So we'll see if that works. I will mute and turn the camera off. Should I do it like that? Well, you won't see the names of the things, but that's okay. So we're going to keep the stream going. And I will probably pop up in chat a little bit later. If this works, then maybe we can show the order flow for stocks, and then we can show how powerful order flow can be on stocks, huh? That'd be super cool. Okay, so, and then tomorrow we can test our changes to the algorithm and make some further changes. So I'm super excited. We got a lot of good stuff going on. Okay, so I will see you guys, if I don't see you here in chat later, I will see you guys tomorrow. In the meantime, stay excellent, team.
Order cancelled. Order cancelled. Order cancelled. Order cancelled.